Have you ever wondered how doctors can peer inside your body and see a disease at work before it even causes a physical change? Well, today we're diving into the PET scan, this incredible technology that literally uses antimatter to map out the secret life happening inside of you, right down to the molecular level.
You know, most medical scans, like an X-ray, they're looking for changes in your body's structure, right? A broken bone, a tumor that's grown. But what if you could see the activity of a disease, its unique metabolic fingerprint, way before it ever gets big enough to show up on those other scans? Well, that is the absolute genius behind the PET scan. Okay, here is the best way to think about this. An X-ray or a CT scan, that gives you a perfect, detailed roadmap of your body. It shows you the anatomy, all the roads, all the buildings. A PET scan, though, it shows you the traffic. It shows you the body's function, where energy is being used, where things are moving. It is literally a live look at the activity happening on that map. All right, so let's start with that idea of activity. How in the world does a PET scan give us this completely unique window into how the body's actually working? So what we're talking about here isn't just a static picture. A PET scan creates this incredible, dynamic, 3D map of what your body is doing in real time. It can show us which parts of your brain are firing up because they're using glucose, or we can see exactly how blood is flowing through your heart. It's biochemistry in action, right there on the screen.
And how it does this? Well, this is where things get truly mind-blowing. It all comes down to one tiny, super exotic particle, the positron. So what in the world is a positron? Simply put, it's a particle of antimatter. Yeah, just let that sink in for a second. It is the exact twin of an electron, but it has a positive charge. And yes, you heard that right. We use actual antimatter for medical imaging. It's something straight out of science fiction, made real. Now, the life of a positron is incredibly short, but it is really, really dramatic. It all starts when a proton, deep inside a special tracer molecule we've introduced to your body, suddenly decides to flip into a neutron. When it does that, it spits out a positron. This little particle of antimatter then travels maybe a millimeter before it finds exactly what it's looking for, an electron. The second they meet, bam, annihilation. They both vanish in a burst of pure energy, releasing a pair of high-energy photons. And this is a super important detail. That burst of energy, it's not random at all. Each of those two photons has a very specific energy signature, exactly 511 kilo-electron volts. The PET scanner is specifically tuned to look for this precise energy level, and it ignores everything else. You can think of it like a secret password. And here's the really elegant part. These two photons don't just fly off in any old direction. The laws of physics demand that they shoot away from each other in perfectly opposite directions. We're talking exactly 180 degrees apart. And this simple, beautiful geometric rule is the secret sauce that makes the entire PET scan possible. Okay, so the body is now giving off millions of these little paired-up energy echoes. How does a scanner actually take that information and use it to build that 3D map we were talking about? Well, a PET scanner is basically a massive ring of detectors. I mean, we're talking about tens of thousands of tiny, incredibly sensitive crystals that completely surround the patient. Their only job is to sit there and listen, ready to catch those pairs of 511 kilo-electron volt photons as they come flying out of the body. So when two detectors on opposite sides of that ring get hit by one of these photons at the exact same instant, and we're talking within nanoseconds of each other, the computer knows it's a match. It instantly draws an imaginary line connecting those two detectors. That line is called a line of response, and the computer knows with certainty that the annihilation event happened somewhere along that line. Now, just one of these lines on its own, it doesn't really tell you a whole lot. It just tells you the event happened somewhere on that path through the body. It's like having one single clue to a much, much bigger mystery. But here is where the magic really happens. The scanner doesn't just detect one event, it detects millions of them every single second. And as millions of these lines of response get drawn through the body, they start to cross over each other. Areas with a lot of metabolic activity are going to have thousands and thousands of lines all intersecting at the same point, creating what we call a hotspot. By mapping the density of all these intersections, the computer builds that beautiful 3D image of the body's function. And, the technology itself has gotten way better over time. Older scanners, they used to operate in what was called 2D mode. They had these lead shields to block photons coming from odd angles. It helped reduce errors, but it was really slow and inefficient. Modern scanners run in 3D mode. They've taken those shields out, which makes them way more sensitive. And that means they can capture more data, which leads to faster scans and much higher quality images.
Now, a PET scan is an amazing tool all by itself, but today it's almost always paired with a CT scan. And that combination, that's what makes it one of the most powerful diagnostic tools that we have in modern medicine. And this is where our whole map and traffic analogy just clicks perfectly into place. Remember, the PET scan shows the traffic, the body's function. The CT scan gives us the roads, that's the detailed anatomy. A modern PET/CT scanner does both at the same time and then digitally fuses them together, so doctors get a single, unified image that lays the traffic right on top of the roadmap. And the advantages here are just huge. Doctors can see exactly where a metabolic hotspot is located. Is it in the liver, or is it right next to it? Is it in the bone, or is it in the muscle next to the bone? This precision just dramatically improves a doctor's confidence. Plus, the CT data is used to mathematically correct the PET image, which makes the final picture even more accurate. It's a win-win. And the sensitivity is just staggering. We are talking about detecting substances down to the picomolar range. Now, to put that into perspective for you, that is like being able to find one single specific grain of sand on an entire beach. That level of molecular detail is just absolutely incredible. So there you have it. The PET scan, a wild journey from antimatter annihilation all the way to a precise map of your body's inner workings. It really leaves us with a fascinating thought, doesn't it? If we can see the functional signs of disease at this microscopic level today, what might this technology allow us to see, or maybe even predict, in the future?